Hi, and welcome to this module. Slightly unusual, but it's on discipline and etiquette. Oh, going to get all heavy. Now we're not. We're going to do this quite light, but there's quite a lot of information to go through. I've got about 3 pages. So now is a good time if you want to pause, get yourself a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, sit down. Don't worry about writing anything down because we're going to put this in the download section and you'll be able to download all the information that I'm going to talk about. I just thought I'd rather talk about it because I can give you a little bit more feel about how it should be done. And first of all, this is not my job to tell you about discipline and the etiquette in the dojo. This is the job of the black belts in the dojo, not the sensei's job. However, in the light of current pandemic, and I'm doing a lot of stuff on my own here, and I thought, well, we'll slip this module in because I'm noticing on some of the information coming through, some of the requests, I think we just need to add some etiquette, Japanese etiquette in. And it is Japanese etiquette. You're learning Japanese karate. This is not English, European, Western karate. It's Japanese karate, and it's really important to remember that. You've got to look at where we come from. And so we're taking this from ancient Japan, going back hundreds of years when the samurai roamed Japan, and the emperor had armies of samurai, and all the lords had samurai. And to make a mistake in etiquette and discipline in those days would cost you your life. If the samurai rode through the village and you didn't bow deep enough, you'd be executed. Now, you'd be pleased to know that we don't adopt that policy nowadays at Kenshinkai, which is really good because our membership would go down. Okay, but however, we still need to maintain discipline and etiquette, and this is the beauty of karate that you're learning. Many clubs don't teach this because they don't know it. And I'll explain a little bit more about Western clubs as we go through bits and pieces. I'm going to need my glasses to read this, so excuse me. And again, we're just going to have this is just quite an informal chat, but hopefully you get the gist of what I'm trying to come across. Okay, and you can see the etiquette in karate goes back, as I say, hundreds of years, and you can see this quite clearly on some points. If you go back hundreds of years and you look where the emperor used to live in the Golden Palace, which is a golden palace built on a lake, with only one entrance in, and him and his family would occupy the top floor. On the next floor down, you would have a dozen of the top swordsmen in Japan. So trying to get to the emperor would be almost impossible. On the next floor down, you'd probably have 50 of the next best swordsmen, all samurai, who were there to protect the ones above. And on the ground floor, you might have 100 samurai. So if someone wanted to kill the emperor, they'd have to hire an army of ninjas, and they'd have a hell of a fight getting to the emperor. Now, that's a long time ago, but we've carried this forward, and you'll see it in some dojos, old-fashioned Japanese dojos as we are, and where you'll see the sensei at the front of the class. And when he kneels, he turns his back to the class. Now, this is a vulnerable point, so then you normally have the 3rd, 4th, and 5th dans kneeling in behind him. So they're there for his protection. In a very big club, then you'll have a line of black belts lined up next, and finally you'll have all the students. So if any of you guys fancy trying to get to the sensei to have a go at him, you've got to battle your way through the black belts, and they get higher and higher as you go through. This is obviously, this is where it's taken from. You know, and so, and it's interesting to know these bits and pieces. Right, what have we got? Let's start from the beginning. Okay. First of all, men and women in Japanese Shotokan Karate are treated equal. The ladies, you spar with men, and your partner, and you'll train with men, because if you're going to get attacked, it's unlikely you're going to get attacked by a woman on the street. It's more likely to be a man. So if you learn to train against men, it's going to make you a lot stronger. And a couple of examples with this is one is a a young girl and very small girl, Christina, who I used to train many years ago, and she trained fanatical, and she would not train in the women's categories in competition. She just wanted to train with the men and fight with the men. And at the European Championships, she was very small and petite. She would enter the women's competition, she entered the men's, she got her nose broken, I think 5 times, but she became the European champion, men's champion, not in the ladies. And this is how it should be. Men and women train exactly the same. You're not going to get a broken nose, relax. But this is going back a long time ago. And the second one is, which is closer to home, is my wife, Julie. She's a black belt second dan. She doesn't train anymore, not at the moment, but I think we can get her back training. That's one of the goals. She's a black belt second dan, ex-Essex champion, fighting champion. But when she started training with us, there's very few women actually in the dojo, and so she trained with the men, and we had about 18 black belt instructors, and she had to fight with all the same as us, but she grew up that way, and it makes them very, very tough. So men and women are treated equal, and you fight exactly the same. There's no discretion for ladies in the dojo. The same for children. Obviously children and adults don't mix and don't fight together, but the discipline and the rules and the etiquette apply to children the same as they do adults. This is not a playground, it's not a place to come and babysitting service. You know, this is a Japanese karate dojo. When our children walk into this dojo, there's no talking. There's absolute silence. The only thing they do is allow us to ask a question or say us, and it's the discipline. If children don't have that discipline, they're not going to learn. If they don't instill the discipline into them at an early stage, they'll never learn Japanese karate properly. And trust me, kids love this stuff. Absolutely love the discipline. And the harder you are on them in the discipline, the more they will love it. I'll show you one time, we'll do some video when we can get back into it, as some of our club members, some of our kids, and you watch their discipline. It's brilliant. Google young Japanese karate children and you see them and the discipline, and this is possible for everyone's child is the same. Inch by inch, it's a cinch. Just do it really slowly. Small pocket bites with nice rewards. Adults don't need rewards, but children do. Okay, let's go through some rules. Some of these are a little bit awkward because in fact, most of them it's about me. You know, and it's the sensei at your dojo, so it's a little bit awkward, but I'm not worried about it if you're not. Just take it on board. Is imagine that someone else is telling you this, and we're just going to take it a little bit easy. Okay, and it says, I say you can download this. It says the following guide is only on behavior and etiquette attending a traditional Shotokan Karate club. Western clubs may or may not adopt these guidelines, but it's important for all Kenshin-kai students to adopt them so you'll be comfortable walking into a Japanese dojo. This is the main thing. You can never ever be scared about going to a club anywhere in the world, because if it's a good quality Japanese one, you can walk in, you can speak the language, no matter what language it is, because it's all in Japanese. Okay, and the training will be the same, and you'll be embraced and welcomed the same. Most of this etiquette is taken from ancient Japan and the samurai, and therefore should be highly respected. Before attending training at the dojo, when you first attend, the golden rule is no first names, and you definitely never ever call a sensei by his Christian name, whether you're inside the dojo or outside the dojo. Now, some senseis say, if you go down to the pub with them, they say, don't worry, just call me by my first name. You don't. None of my students have ever, in fact, I don't even know if they know my first name. The only thing they ever call me, even outside the dojo, is sensei. Now, with my online, I've allowed the name Sensei Glenn, so you can get used to me as opposed to the other instructors around, and which is absolutely fine. When you're addressing online, you're welcome to use Sensei Glenn. It's not a problem at all. Never the Christian name, just a Christian name. When it's in person, you drop the Christian name and it's Sensei only. When you're talking to other black belts, it's Senpai. And this is a point I just want to cover. How do you tell if a dojo's Japanese, if a karate club's Japanese trained or English trained? I'm going to tell you a couple of secrets. Real easy to tell. One, first of all, if all the instructors call themselves sensei, hi sensei, us sensei, hi sensei, us sensei. There's only ever one sensei in a dojo, and that's the highest grade. One sensei, all the rest are senpai. Senpai means senior. One sensei, all senpai. That's one way to tell. Two, everything's in English. All your terminology might be in English or Portuguese or French or something like that. That's not a Japanese dojo. It's not Japanese trained. All commands should be in Japanese. Okay, it's really, really important. So, if one of our black belts like Andy or Chris, who's been doing some training with you and some teaching with you, if they come in and it's us senpai, okay, us or us sensei. If it's one of your colleagues and you're inside a dojo, then you can use a Christian name, but it should be with, for example, Robert, or Robert-san, Mr. Robert. Okay, this is the formal way. But if you learn the formal way, you can never come unstuck. Okay, let's move on. If you are new to karate, please do not panic. Nothing's expected of you but the effort to learn. Let me tell you how the learning system works with Japanese karate. Let's imagine that you come in as a complete beginner and you walk up and you say, "Hi Glenn, how are you?" I will not say anything at all to you, because that's not my job to say anything. But I'll just look at the black belts, they'll look at me, they'll look at you, and they will educate you. So the next time you come in, you'll learn, and then you won't do that. If you make the same mistake twice, then the black belts are going to start jumping up and down on you. If they don't, then it's the sensei's job to jump up and down on the black belts. And so the discipline is passed down through the levels. In each dojo, you'll have a dojo captain, and he's one of the black belts, and his responsibility is discipline. Find out who the dojo captain is. In Kenshinkai, it's Sean Kai-Bird, a black belt second dan, and he's a dojo captain responsible for discipline. So he maybe should have been giving this talk, but he can't at the moment. But you'll get to meet him as you move through the modules. Okay, if you are transferring from another club, you should bring a letter of introduction with you from your previous sensei who will vouch for your grade and suitability. The Dojo Kan number 2 will go on to this at another stage. Makoto no michi o mamorokoto. Be faithful is to be faithful to your sensei and to your club. Okay, sensei is unlikely to accept students who flip from club to club with no valid reason. Number 3, wear a white belt regardless of what grade you are, including black belts, unless sensei has specifically said you can wear your belt. This is to prevent embarrassment to the club and to yourself if your standard is not at the correct level for the club. So to reiterate, it doesn't matter what grade you've earned outside, you attend a new club, you put a white belt on. This is respectful. And instantly the sensei will look at you and treat you with respect. He'll come in, he can then look and see what your standard is. If he sees your standard is good, he'll just tell you to put your belt back on. But in many cases, he'll look at the standard and say, I think we're just going to give you 3 months as a white belt and we're just going to see what your level is. And then he may turn around and says, you can put an orange belt on. And he'll put you in the level for what the club is. Okay. When attending training at the dojo, don't wear any jewelry, because including wedding rings, you wear a ring and you're punching, A, you can catch someone, and B, you can rip your finger off. It's very dangerous to wear jewelry, including earrings. You're grabbing someone by the head and suddenly you pull the earrings out and it's not good. So it's no jewelry, watches, earrings and wedding rings. Don't chew gum or smoke anywhere in the vicinity of the dojo. Chewing gum is just not a good thing. It's smacking your lips and it's just not. So don't chew gum. If you smoke, if we see you smoking, we'll presume you're on fire and take appropriate action. Smoking is something, keeps yourself not in the karate environment. Ensure that your gi, your karate suit, is clean and ironed. A dirty, crumpled gi is disrespectful to the instructors and fellow students. And there's nothing worse Then you're coming in and you're doing kicking, and you pick someone's foot up and there's potatoes growing in between his toes, and you go, disgusting. Cleanliness is really important. So it means that if you're finishing work, and sometimes you come straight from work, it's not a problem. Bring a small towel, wash your feet. Okay, make sure you're clean, make sure you're under your arms, deodorant, and so you smell nice. Then put your karate suit on and into the dojo. Okay, fingernails and toenails cut short. Again, because long fingernails are not good. Sorry, ladies, but it's long fingernails in karate just really doesn't go. You can't clench your fist if you've got long fingernails. Okay, when you meet other students, bow and say us as a greeting. So if you go even with your friend and you go in and you're in the dojo and your friend walks in, then you stand up, us. Everything begins with the word us. This is an acknowledgement, and this is covered in one of the modules. So whenever you start anything, us Peter, how are you? Oh, us Brian, yeah, how are you? Yep, get the idea? Good. When you meet black belts, bow and say us senpai. Okay, this is as a greeting, which means hi senior, hello senior. When you meet a sensei, you bow deep and say loudly us. The word us should never be muttered, never be mumbled, it's very loud. So for example, if I've got a colleague come in through the door, if I'm a junior grade and a colleague, I say, oh, us, and they're the same grade as me, that's acceptable. A black belt comes through the door, us. A bow, sensei comes through the door, us, you know, and a deep bow. And everyone should jump up and do exactly the same. Good, that's good. Do not be late to class, as this is rude. Yeah, if it's unavoidable, you can follow procedures which we'll go on to later on how to kneel and walk into the dojo, and we cover that a little bit later. But the idea being is arrive at class at least 15 minutes before the class is due to start, so you're in on time. In the dojo, bow when you enter the dojo. This is covered under, I think, one of the first modules on the 9th Kyu grade exam. So this is a formal nod, this is a formal bow, not a casual nod. Yeah, bow in the direction of the sensei. If the sensei is not present, then bow to the front of the dojo, which is shomen, to the front. You must also stand and bow if anyone of the same or higher rank enters the dojo. So if you're a white belt and you maybe have 100 members in the club, you're going to be up and down quite a lot bowing when people walk in. But that's all, it's good. If another white belt comes in, us, you know, and then carry on stretching, anyone a higher grade, exactly the same. The higher the grade, the deeper the bow, the louder the us. Yep, that's the general rule. It's very important, when sensei enters the room, everyone gets to their feet and the whole dojo shouts us together. Page 1. Do you need another cup of tea? Okay. It's important the moment the class starts that your mind should be on karate and nothing else, and try to improve in your own techniques. Concentrate, give a spirited ki, don't talk in the dojo, and practice hard. If you come to training and you've got troubles and you're thinking about work, or you've had an argument with your other half at home, or you've got money worries, these are all troubles that I want you to take off and just leave them outside the dojo. So when you come in, you've got a clear mind. The beautiful thing about karate is that you can't buy the grades. You can't buy what we've got in here. And it doesn't matter whether you're rich, poor, what background you come from, we are all equal. We're all a one family. The only rank in here is what your belt that you wear as you go up. Okay, other than that, we're all exactly the same, and we're all here looking after each other and all encouraging each other to try our hardest and gradually to move up the grades. Shotokan Karate is a path, and it's called the Shotokan Way. Imagine you're on this path, and you're at the beginning of the path. I'm just 42 years down the line, okay, so I've been all along it. This is the Shotokan path, and we're all on the same path together. It's all about helping each other along the way. What happens on this path, obstacles become along. And one obstacle, for example, might be finance. You just don't have the money. Now, some people get to that and think, oh, I just don't have the money to carry on doing this or to do it. And that's an obstacle on the path. It's quite a small obstacle to some people, to others it's a massive one. Then they leave the path. Very rarely, once you've left the path, do you ever come back onto it. It's really important to remember that, saying, oh, I'll quit for a little while and I'll come back. We never ever have anyone do that. It's very rare. Once you go and you leave, okay? And imagine that obstacle is just a step. And whatever it is, it's finance, it might be work, it might be anything, there's going to be obstacles along the path. Just try and get your head around it, talk to instructors or to sensei about it, and then just step over the obstacle, carry along the path. We will put obstacles on the path. One of the ones we put on there, for example, is your grading exams. There's an obstacle we just put on the path. Again, you've got to step over it, get through it, and carry on along the path. Yeah, okay. Whenever you're told to move from one part of the room to the other, do it quickly. Run or trot. Do not walk. Do not pass in front of anyone. Always go behind and around. When you're asked to stand back or sit back and watch, do in a normal standing position or kneeling position. Don't lean on the walls or distract others. Do not talk at any time. If you're in a kneeling position, you're uncomfortable, it's okay to cross legs and sit cross-legged. Whenever you stand from a sitting position, switch to the kneeling bow and then stand. If you ever need to leave a class early, make sure the instructor knows beforehand. Every time you get a new partner for an exercise, bow to your new partner and bow to the partner who's just finished with. He's giving you your time, their time, to help you with your karate. Don't make overt displays of how tired you are, no matter how tired you are. We have a rule in Kenshin Kai: if you yawn loud with your mouth open, we normally push your finger down it. Okay, you only do it once and then you don't yawn again. Yawning in front of a teacher, I think, is very rude. Okay, and it means probably thinks, oh, I'm bored, this is rubbish. You know, then you've got to question whether you should be there. Please don't yawn in a class or show signs of tiredness. If you're really hurting, keep it inside. This is what you're learning to do. Nothing worse than being in a fight outside and you're going, oh, hang on a minute, I'm really hurt, I'm tired, I'm really... Great. It's a sign of weakness. Keep it inside, okay, and bottle it all up, you know, and and you'll get stronger. If you're ever asked to count in whatever language you feel comfortable with. Try to do it in Japanese, but make sure it's loud and spirited. Other things you should know. Don't say any words when you ki. Ki itself is a Japanese word, so you don't shout ki. It's either something like, I always say ya or ya, something nice and loud, yeah. Don't be afraid to ki. I'm looking at some of these exams and I'm getting some real, yeah. Come on, get some spirit. You know, loud as you can. This is good for the spirit. This is what builds up. If you're not sure, you know, if you're a bit shy about shouting loud, get a bucket, put it on your head and shout into the bucket. That sounds really loud. It'll help you. We do that with students. Do not hesitate to ask senior students and instructors for help before or after the class. If you're thinking about something, ask the question. Time permitting, you should try to learn your katas outside of class so that during the class, the instructor can spend more time making comments about your technique rather than what comes next. Do not ask sensei questions if there are black belt instructors present. They have the time to spend with you explaining more than sensei does. Karate should be used as a last resort. There's no place in a dojo for a bully or show-off. Maintain an attitude of humbleness. Japanese Shotokan Karate Club is known worldwide for its roots, discipline and standard. You are the new flag bearers of this standard. Grading exams. Okay, this is one of my favorites. And there's, do you want to find the simple way of finding out if someone is Japanese trained? It's easy. If they ask when they can grade or mention grading exams at all, they are not Japanese trained. This is the golden rule. If you want a black belt, go and buy one. I think we sell them for £3.99. If you want to earn one, concentrate on training. You will know when you're ready to grade. A sensei will say your last exam was good. If you don't get picked up on any points on your last exam, you're doing everything right. If you've got a list of things that you need to work on, that doesn't mean you work on your new stuff and you're ready for grading. It means He wants to see them things improved before you even think about learning the next stuff. Okay, so go back, improve them, send a video in and say, Sensei, how's this improved? Because trust me, with my online members, I've got all your exams in a file. I look and I can see how many hours you've put into training, and I look at compare one exam to your next exam, and I can see your improvement. Okay, so it's really important to don't worry about exams, just concentrate. Would you rather be a brilliant brown belt or a poor black belt? Question to ask yourself. When submitting a video exam, watch it first. Then decide if you really want to submit that exam through to our panel. On a live exam, you don't have the chance to correct mistakes. You just fail. If you have made exam on a video which you could have redone but you haven't, then and you make mistakes, then you're likely to fail also. When contacting your sensei online or through social media, please start off with, Sensei, good morning. Sensei, how are you? And then ask your question. It's really nice, rather than someone saying, oh, hi, can you, and straight in. Yeah, it's good etiquette just to say, Sensei, there we go. And that's all I've got to say, really. Well done. Try to remember as much as possible, but don't worry if you make a mistake once. You can download all this information, or type it up. You'll be able to download it on the website. And well done. If you think of anything that needs to go in here, please let me know, and we'll just add to it. The whole idea is just to add to it, build on it. If there's anything you don't like on it, again, let me know. If it's important, and I'll tell you why. Other than that, see you in the next module. Well done.